Hello and welcome to our discussion today. Today we want to look at strategy, evaluation, and choice. In our previous discussion, we looked at strategy formulation and the strategy alternatives that can be considered by businesses. If for any reason you have not gone through that, I'd advise that you go through the strategy formulation and the alternatives. Today, we want to look at the evaluation. So after you have selected a strategy, how do you know if what you have selected is what is best for your business or not? So we will look at strategy, evaluation, and choice. So by the end of this discussion, you should be able to describe the criteria for evaluating strategy. You should also be able to analyze strategic decision-making frameworks. So for this discussion, we'll consider the Boston Consulting Group Matrix, which is also called the BCG Matrix, and then the GE-McKinsey Matrix. And then finally, you should be able to apply evaluation criteria and decision-making frameworks to real-world business scenarios. So basically, this is what we'll be doing in our discussion today. So we go straight to the definition. If you say strategy evaluation, we are talking about the process of assessing various strategic options or various strategic alternatives to determine the one which is best for your organization. All right. So you want to assess your choice and see if what you have gone for is what your organization really needs. Okay. And the criteria for evaluating strategy includes suitability, feasibility, and then acceptability. All right. So you go through the strategy, all right, and check if it's suitable for your business, if it is a strategy that is feasible, and if it is acceptable. So if we say suitability, you want to ask yourself these questions. Does the strategy you have chosen address the organization's goals? Remember that prior to all of this, you would have come up with your vision, your mission statements, your objectives, and the goals for the business. So you would want to check and see if the chosen strategy aligns with the organization's goals. You also want to check if it is suitable to market needs as well as the external environment. We have discussed all the factors in the external environment in our previous discussions. So you would want to check the suitability of the chosen strategy in relation to the organization's goals, to the market needs, and then the external environment, and check if what you have gone for is suitable. Okay. Then you look at its feasibility. And with the feasibility, you would want to ask yourself if the organization has the resources to implement the strategy. Okay, so depending on the strategy that you have chosen, does the organization have the financial resources? Do you have the human resources? Do you have the technological resources needed to implement the strategy? Okay, that is what will show the strategy's feasibility. And then finally, you have acceptability. All right. You want to check from the various stakeholders and see if the strategy you have chosen meets the expectations of those stakeholders. So you can check the expectations of your shareholders, employees, your customers, the general public. All right. So you would want to find out if the strategy you have gone in for meets the expectations of the various stakeholders of your business. We move on now to the decision-making frameworks. And like I said earlier, we would consider two of the frameworks, the BCG matrix, also called the Boston Consulting Group matrix, and then the GE-McKinsey matrix. The BCG matrix or Boston Consulting Group matrix is a strategic planning tool used by organizations to analyze their portfolio of business units or products. Okay, so for an organization, a typical organization will not have just one product. For most of the well-established organizations, they have products, a range of products, and they also have a number of services that they render to their clients. The BCG matrix is a tool or a way of assessing or checking to see how the various business units are working. Okay. And it's also a tool that helps you to assess if a chosen strategy is working or not. Okay. So the BCG matrix is used by organizations to analyze their portfolio of business units. So if you say business units, you are looking at the various divisions in an organization. So for example, if they have let's say 5 different products in the organization, there are likely to be 5 business units within that organization. In that case, it means that every product line is being treated as a business unit in that organization. Okay, so the BCG was developed by the BCG matrix was developed by the Boston Consulting Group in 1970. Okay, and what it does is to classify the various business units or the products that the organization has into one of the 4 categories based on its market growth rate and then the relative market share. So for example, if it has 5 products, for each of the 5 products or for each of the 5 business units, there will be a point, or there will be one of the quadrants where that product will fit in. Okay, so you have the 4 categories being stars, question marks, cash cows, and then dogs. So another name for the question marks is problem children. So you can either see question marks or problem children. So stars, problem children, cash cows and dogs, or stars, question marks, cash cows and dogs. So you realize that for each of your product lines or for each of the business units, they are likely to fall in one of these categories. Okay. So this is how the BCG matrix looks like. Okay, you have so depending on your product, the product name will be here. Okay, and then depending on where it fits within this matrix, you place it there. Okay, so on the vertical axis here, we have the business growth rate, right? The rate at which the business is growing. And then on the horizontal axis, you have the relative market share. All right. So if you have a high market share, but a low growth rate, you call it a cash cow. If you have a low relative market share and a low growth rate, you call it a dog. Okay. And the strategic decision here is to divest. We'll discuss this shortly. If you have a high market share and a low business growth rate, what you do is to harvest, right? If you have a high market share as well as a high growth rate, you call it a star. And for the stars, it is advised that you either consolidate or you expand. Okay. Then for the business unit that has a low market share and a high growth rate, you call it a question mark. So here you can either invest, improve, or you divest. Okay, so basically these are the 4 categories where each business unit can fit in. And depending on where the business unit fits, you decide on what to do as an organization. Okay, so we want to first discuss the stars, right? And like we said earlier, the stars have a high growth rate and they also have a high market share, right? So business units, if you have a business unit or a product that has a high market share and a high growth rate on the market, then you classify it as a star. And what you do to such products or for such business units is to invest to ensure that they maintain the growth rate that they have, they maintain the high growth rate, and they also maintain the high market leadership that they have. Okay, so for the stars, some of the characteristics of the stars is the fact that it has a strong market position, it has a high growth potential, and then it also has high revenue and market share. So as a form of strategy, what you do is to invest in that business unit or in that product to ensure that you are maintaining the high market share and the high growth rate. Okay, as much as possible, you allocate resources for marketing, for innovation, and then expansion. Okay, so as you invest and as business goes on, you realize that the stars will mature, and as they mature, they may transition into cash cows. Okay, so a star can grow and get to a point where it becomes a cash cow. So let me go straight to the cash cows before I come to the question mark. So for the cash cows, they are business units or products with a relatively high market share, but a low growth rate on the market. So we said that a star can mature into a cash cow. Stars have high market share, high growth rate. When it matures into a cash cow, it has a high market share and then a low growth rate because it has matured, right? And when every product matures, you notice that the growth rate declines. Okay, so once the growth rate declines, then it now moves from being a star to a cash cow. So for such a product or for such a business unit, what it means is that it has got to a level where it generates significant cash flows, but prospects for the future is very limited. Okay, so the cash cows have a strong market position. They have a stable or declining market growth. It's like they have peaked. So they have got to the highest level of market growth. So they become either stable or they start to decline. And then it's also characterized by a high revenue and market share. For the cash cows, if you have a product or a business unit that is classified under the cash cow, what you do is to focus on profit maximization and cost control. Okay, so because there's no room for the market to grow, you just focus on making as much profit as you can from that business unit or from the product, and as much as possible, cut down on cost. Okay, so your strategy here is to harvest the cash generated for investment in stars or question marks. So if you have other products which are classified as stars, what you do is to harvest the cash you generate from the cash cows and invest into either your stars or the question marks. Okay. And then you maintain market leadership and defend against competitors. Remember that the cash cow still has a high market share, even though the growth rate is low or declining. It has a high market share. So you ensure that you are maintaining its market leadership and defending against competitors. Okay. Then we look at the question marks or problem children. If a business unit is classified as a question mark, what it means is that it has a relatively low market share in a high growth market. So this is just the opposite of the cash cow. The question mark has a low market share in a high growth market. They have the potential to become stars or cash cows. Stars have high market share and high growth rate. Cash cows have a high market share but a low growth rate. So question marks can grow or they can mature into stars or into cash cows. But you require careful consideration and investment, because in as much as there's the high growth market, it has a low market share. So if you are investing in the question mark or the problem child, you have to be careful. Okay. The characteristics of the question marks is that it has a low market share and a high growth potential. The strategy here is to assess whether to invest, right, and nurture them into stars or divest if they are not viable. So if you realize that for the question mark, it's not clear as to what to do, but you will have to assess the situation. Okay, assess and see if you can invest in the question mark. All right, you can invest in that product, which is the question mark, and nurture them to become stars, or you would want to divest. Okay, so the way you are able to do this is to conduct a market research, and then based on the findings or based on the results that you get, you can come up with a new product. All right. Or you decide whether to grow or exit that market segment. So the question mark is not really clear, but you have to conduct the market research. And based on the findings that you have from the market research, you can either invest or you divest. Okay. Then we have the dogs, right? The dogs are business units or products with a low relative market share in a low growth or declining market. All right. So the dogs have low market share and a low growth rate. They do not generate substantial profit and may require difficult decisions. Okay. And a lot of business units or people don't like getting to this point. But once you get to this point, it means that you have a weak market position and there's also low growth or a declining market. So some of the things you can do at this point is either to divest or exit from the market, because there's no the market share is low, the growth rate is low. Okay, so the best to do is either divest or to exit from the market. So you would evaluate whether resources can be better utilized elsewhere, right? Maybe in another product or in another business unit. What you do here is to minimize further investments unless strategic reasons dictate otherwise. So unless the your strategy is such that you still want to keep investing in that product or in that business unit. Otherwise, you minimize investments and then consider divesting or exiting from the market completely. Okay, so basically that is the GE, did I say GE? Sorry, that's the BCG matrix, all right, for strategy evaluation. Or so basically that is it. Your stars, your question marks, the cash cow, and then the dogs. Okay. Another framework that is used to conduct the same activities, what you call the GE-McKinsey Matrix. All right. So it's either GE Matrix or McKinsey Matrix. And this is also a strategic planning tool used to assess and prioritize a company's portfolio of business units or product lines, just like you have for the BCG matrix. However, the GE matrix was developed by McKinsey and Company, and it's named after General Electric or GE. All right, which popularized its use. So it was popularly used by GE. That's why you call it the GE matrix or the McKinsey matrix. So this matrix evaluates business units or product lines based on two key dimensions. You have the industry attractiveness and then the competitive strength. The BCG matrix that we looked at earlier focuses on the growth rate and the market share. This one looks at the industry attractiveness and the competitive strength. So you plot each unit or product on a 9-box grid. Okay, a 9-box grid. And then organizations can make informed decisions about resource allocation, about strategic focus, and then the overall management of their portfolio. So this is the 9-box grid, right? This is the 9-box grid of the GE matrix. For the BCG matrix, you have just 4, okay? You have 4 main categories, but the GE matrix has 9 categories. On the horizontal, you have the business unit strength, okay? And then on the vertical, we have the industry attractiveness, okay? So from here, you realize that the industry attractiveness moves from low to high, okay? So you have low, medium, and high. And then on the axis of the business unit strength, you have high, medium, and low. Okay, so if you plot your you are how do I say it? So if your business unit, right, has a low, if your business unit has a low strength, all right, and a low industry attractiveness, then it means that it will be here. All right. So what do? You either divest or you harvest, right? It means you either sell out that business or you find a way of investing in something else, not that business. Okay. Then if you have the product or the business unit having a medium industry attractiveness. Where's my cursor? Medium industry attractiveness and a low business unit strength. What do? Check the colors. You also harvest or you divest. And then if you come to, yes, if you come here, you'll notice that in the same way, if you have a medium business strength, all right, and a low industry attractiveness, you also divest or you harvest. So if the product falls in any of these three quadrants, or if it falls in any of these three categories, what you do is to have harvest or you divest. Then you look at um the yellow ones, okay? You notice that if it has a high if it has a am I okay? So yeah, if it has a high attractiveness, right, but a low oh, where am I? Okay, yes, yes. So if it has a high um so let's go to the green. High industry attractiveness, right? And a high business strength, you invest or you grow. All right. That's where you see the greens. All right. If it has a medium industry attractiveness, whether medium industry attractiveness and then a high medium industry attractiveness, high business unit strength, or medium business unit strength and high industry attractiveness, you still invest or you grow. Okay, so if you have the product falling in any of these quadrants, then you invest and grow. You notice that for the greens, the decision is clear, right? You know exactly what to do. Okay, you invest and then you grow. And then for the reds, you notice that you either harvest or you divest. Then if you check the yellow, which is in the middle, decision is not clear. So you have a low high, or you have both industry attractiveness and business strength being medium, all right, or you have low industry attractiveness, high business unit strength, or high industry attractiveness and low business unit strength, or you have both of them being medium. It is not clear. So just like we said earlier, you have to conduct a market research, okay? And based on your findings, so here it's selective, all right? It's not clear what to do, all right? So you conduct a research and be sure how things are on the market, then you can decide on exactly what to do, okay? So basically, that is the GE matrix. I believe this is clear. Otherwise, we will discuss it further in class. Okay. Then we have synergy, the concept of synergy, right? Synergy of the corporate strategy refers to the idea that the combined value or performance of two or more entities. In this case, if you have an organization and there are business units, then we are saying that the performance of two or more of such businesses or of such business units or assets working together is greater than the sum of their individual values or performances when operated separately. What it means is that if you have an organization and you have several business units within the organization, your ability to make the business units work together in harmony, right? Or in an integrated way is better than making the business units work individually and summing up their individual works. Okay. What it means here is that if you make the various units work together in harmony or in synergy, right? There is more room for efficiency. Efficiency is increased, all right? There is competitiveness, there's profitability, and then you notice that general performance increases. Okay, so it is important that the various business units, they work together or they collaborate, all right? So that it will not be wise to have for each business unit an operational, let's say, management for each of the business units. It's not the best to have, let's say, finance department for each of the business units. All right. It is better that even if they are working on their own independently, there are some resources that can be shared. Okay. So, for example, the finance department can be one and be servicing all the various business units. You can have one IT department that is responsible for the activities of all the business units in that organization. Okay, so it is very good if you have the various business units working together. Okay, working together, collaborating together when it comes to some um, um, parts of the organization. Okay. All right. So for our activity, you are to discuss the role of strategic evaluation in ensuring long-term organizational success. Okay, so we'll do this for your various businesses that you have, and then we'll discuss these in class. Okay, thank you all very much for your time. Let's meet again for the other topics. Bye bye for now.